a second or another minute, not an hour, another day. But at this moment, with my hands outstretched, I need you to make a way, as you've done many times before. Through a window or an open door, I stretch my hand to thee. Come rescue me, I need you right away. I need you now. I need you now. I need you now. I need you now. No, not another second or another minute, not an hour, another day. But Lord, we need you right away. If I ever needed you before to show up and restore all of the things that I let slip while searching the world for more, the truest friend in need. You're my best friend I'll ever need. I stretch my hand to thee. Come rescue me, I need you right away. The agony of being alone, the fear of doing things on my own, the tests and trials that come to make me strong, the guilt of hurt, shame, and defeat, the waves that beat upon me. But to know, Lord, in you I've got victory. Yeah. I need you now. I need you now. I need you now. I need you. I need you now. Not another. I can't wait another day. Please make a way, make a way, make a way for me, Jesus. Oh. Cancer, you gotta flee. Diabetes, heart disease, you gotta flee.
Started when I was 9 years old. I'm in Chicago right now visiting, and I was visiting in Chicago at the age of 9. And I was abused by the gardener, the family gardener. And I ran upstairs screaming, telling my grandmother and my mother. And my grandmother said that didn't happen because he's been my gardener for all these years. And my mother didn't get out of her seat. She didn't come hug me or say, "My baby's not crying for nothing." She didn't say a word. And I don't know what I thought that day, but it probably went something like this: I'll never tell anybody anything. And I stuck with that all my life. And I never knew that my mother didn't like me. I just always felt, different than my sister. I just don't understand how you can be raised by someone and they don't like you. Then my cousins and relatives started molesting me. And the worst problem that I had is when a grown woman, set me up to be raped by 8 men. And after that, I said, every woman that I meet is going to pay for what I did. And when I got a little older, I read the book Iceberg Slim, and one of my favorite lines was, when the prostitute said, "It's raining, I can't go out," he told her to walk between the raindrops. And that's how cold I chose to be. When I was maybe 16, I was in one of these corner clubs where they shoot pool illegally. And I met a man, and he told me to hold his pool stick, not knowing it was filled up with cocaine. And I was very attracted to him, and I started ditching school, going to his house. And when I come by, he would have $100 bills just laying up there and tell me to take what I wanted. And I was scared I would take one. He said, "That's all you want?" And I take 2, and I started telling all my friends. And I took him home to meet my mother. He was 18 years older than me. He was 36. No, he was 38. I think I was 16. And instead of my mother saying, "Are you crazy? You're old enough to be her dad," she said, "Good, maybe you can do something with her." And so I end up staying with him, and we end up getting married. And from that day on, I got drugs every day of my life. I was on drugs for 18 years, and it was just heaven for me because I didn't have to turn no tricks. I had women to do that, but I got drugs free every day, and that's when all the abuse started. I used to get beat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it was times that I didn't even look human. It's times he would hold a gun to my head and tell me to call your mother while he had the gun, telling her that he's such a nice man, but I could never see my mother because I was so disfigured. I had 2 concussions before with him hitting me in heads with phones and different things. I used to work for a doctor, Dr. Wellesley A. Ford, and I couldn't even stand to hear a person talk or a phone to ring because the headaches were so bad. And before I was healed from that one, he gave me another concussion, hitting me in the head with something. And my daughter, who's here today, you'll meet her, Miracle. When I was 9 months pregnant, I was standing on the stairs. It might have been about 10 stairs. He just took his hands and pushed me down and then dragged me up and told me nothing wasn't wrong with me. And I remember having the baby that night. And just the beatings that I would get. And I stayed in the marriage for 10 years. And he used to make belts or whips and want to beat me before he have sex with me. And I was so scared. I've never heard of anything like that. But I laid there and allowed him to abuse me like that. And I remember one time he picked up a step stool. Felt like it was made out of iron. And he picked it up over his head and got ready to hit me, and I hollered his name, and he stopped. One day, he was making a whip. He wanted to whip me, and I said, "Wait a minute, let me go to the bathroom." And our front door was open. We had those old-fashioned screen doors. And I just ran out the screen door, pushed it open, and we were on the 2nd story. He jumped over like Superman. And I looked back, and he wasn't moving. And I didn't come back, and he had broke both of his ankles. And that's when I had finally left him. My mind was so messed up because of all the abuse from my first husband and the molestations and how my mother treated me. But women, we are queens. We are supposed to be treated like queens. The man is supposed to open the door for you. He is not supposed to talk down to you. Don't even let him raise his voice at you. If you see one sign, you get out. You get out immediately. You are a queen, black, white, Mexican, whoever you are a queen, and that's the way you are supposed to be treated. Oh, well, that's the end of my Chicago story.
Are you ready?
Didn't I conquer this last year? Tell me what I missed, 'cause I feel that it's coming back up again. Must be something I ate, some song, some show, some hate. The devil wants to extend the game. Free throws, and when it ends, he wants to make the sequel. 'Cause if he has another chance, he feels like he can take my joy, my peace, my faith. See, the devil, he learns from your mistakes, even if you don't. That's how he keeps you in cycles, 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 cycles. But I'm not going in cycles, cycles, cycles.
Look.
But this is the beautiful miracle I told you would be meeting later.
Hey, Mama. And this is my beautiful mother. So my father was very abusive to my mom. And how can I yeah. So my dad, he was very abusive to my mom. And so my mom wasn't as affectionate as I needed her to be as a kid. So I don't remember her like hugging me, picking me up and everything, and showing me that affection that I needed. Even though my father was abusive, he hugged on me. So it was a lot of mental confusion going on. And it was really confusing growing up because I would always hear my mom say, like, out of all the men she had ever been with, she loved my dad. She loved my dad the most, and it was confusing because it's like he was the most abusive, but yet she loved him the most. My mom going through a lot of the things that she went through as a child, I didn't understand that because I was a child. All I know was that I needed the affection from my mom, but she could only give what she had to give. Right. And with my mom using substances, there were times that my mom wasn't as nice as I would have liked her to be. Is it okay if I share?
Please tell it all.
God, it was a time when I was trying to wake my mom up. Because she, when she would
I'll tell it. She doesn't want to tell it. This still bothers me today. My daughter told me she was trying to get my attention, and I did to her what her dad did to me, but not as hard. I hit her with the phone because she kept
wake you up, bothering you,
calling my name. And even though she forgave me, she had to tell me to make me remember, because I had never remembered that because I was in my addiction. And it just hurt me to know that this beautiful girl grew up without the love that she needed, the same way I felt unloved. And it's like I passed it on, and it was so unfair. But it's strange that her dad, being so abusive, he treated her like a little princess. I couldn't even whoop her. Not in front of him. He worshiped her. He cherished her. I've never seen anybody love a child so much.
Relationship. My youngest sister's father, he was very abusive to her. I was about 16 by that time and everything. And so he was very abusive to my mom, and he put his hands on me. And I was like, if you ever put your hands on me again, you'll get it or whatever. And I still remember, like, my mom was standing in the hallway, and when he was doing what he was doing, I was like, Mama, do something. And she was just standing there. But little, did I understand at that time that, she was scared. She because of what she had been through, but I wanted her to take up for me. Going through that, it made me feel a certain kind of way. Even though I love my mom, I still had a certain disappointment towards my mom and everything, and it just made me feel a certain way because I feel like she didn't, I wasn't protected. Right. And then another situation that happened with the relationship that she was in, that they that person, they violated my privacy, you know what I mean, and took pictures of me while I was asleep, because I was a wild sleeper as a kid, and I was only 12 at that time, and that person took pictures of me and hid them in the mattress that they would lay in every night.
And when I found out, I shot him with a rifle, and he didn't press charges either.
But I found myself getting into an abusive relationship, so it's so funny. It's just, I guess the enemy is so crafty, man. Yes. The enemy is so crafty, because it started with the situation that happened when I was 12. I wasn't protected. Then when I got to high school, at 16, the situation that happened with my stepfather, with him like getting aggressive with me, putting his hands on me. Okay, so then here it is. I don't feel protected. Then in high school, I ended up getting raped. So I'm like, okay, I don't feel protected. Then by the time I turned 17, this guy that been trying to talk to me since I was 15, met him in the church as well. He played the drums for the youth choir. I finally talked to him, and we got into a relationship. We began a relationship, and my self-esteem was so low, like so low. And he was able to be in my life at that time where my self-esteem was low. And he was very, very jealous. If somebody looked at me and smiled, it was my fault because I did something to cause them to look at me in that way. And I'm just being myself, a happy, bubbly person. And so there was a situation that happened where I was at his grandparents' house. And he was very disrespectful to his grandmother. And I didn't understand that. So I had asked him, like, why are you talking to your grandmother like that? Next thing I know, I was on the floor. And I was in shock because I had never been in a relationship where a guy hit me. But as soon as I fell to that floor, he immediately was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. You know, it was an accident. I'm so sorry. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, it just turned like 19. I was still with him. And, you know, I allowed him to talk me into stripping, making money, and doing things like that. So I was doing that. I was dancing, and just things led to other things for me, and it was hard to leave that relationship. It really was hard to leave that relationship. At that time, it was just hard. And from the outside looking in, I know people who have never been through that type of situation, they'll say, well, like, how could you allow yourself to even go through that? How could you allow yourself to be degraded and spoken to and treated like that, hit on and everything? At that time, it's just like I had no self-esteem, you know, and that's the only reason I could come up with, because I didn't have self-esteem in myself. I didn't love myself. I grew up not loving myself. Like, I didn't value me because I felt like I wasn't valued as a child.
Right.
And especially when you have someone that comes in your life and they're like, they love you, and it's like, oh wow, you love me, you know what I mean? Because you don't love yourself, or that person is being insanely jealous. It was like, oh, they love me. They just
showing you that attention.
They love me so much, and it's like, that's not a healthy love,
right?
And that's not how it's supposed to be. Right. So, you know, I allowed him to talk to me in my ear and say, like, well, if you love me, you would do this for me. You know what I mean? So, you know, then I was naive, you know, but the grown me would have told the little me, like, hey, if he loves you, he wouldn't do those things to you. And if he loves you, he'll go out and go get a job and work and do the things that he needs to do to be a provider, or to show you that he really loves you, not you out there dancing and stripping and making money and bringing money to that guy. You know what I mean? And just doing things that devalue yourself as a woman. So yeah, it took a lot for me to leave that relationship. I remember a moment when I tried to leave and he wouldn't let me go, and I got away, and dang, and I'm thinking back now as I'm talking, like, there were times he tried to hit me over the head with a lamp. He pulled a gun to my head. Whatever it was, I wasn't listening to him about something, so he tried to take my hand and he tried to put it on the stove while the pilot was lit, and the pilot was on or whatever. And like, he was just horrible, man, horrible to me. And I remember plenty of times when we were walking down the street after, didn't have a car, I was on the bus. So we get off the bus and we're walking down the street, and whatever it was, it triggered him to get upset at me, and he'll be talking to me down the street, you mother effing B, you know what I mean? What the F is wrong? Just talking to me crazy. And it's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but I'm saying when I look back And now that I'm grown and I see couples walking down the street and the guy is talking to that girl just like crazy, all up in her face, talking, you know what I mean? Just all in her space and just degrading her and talking to her like how he's talking to her. It made me reflect and look back on the situations that I had been in with that guy. So I finally got the nerve to leave. My last time, well, no. Yeah. Oh, I thought it was the last time, but no, it was a time when I had finally had left him, and I told him if he came before me that I was going to do something to him. He didn't believe me. I had some mace and I sprayed it in his face because he was coming towards me to try to attack me. So I sprayed some mace and I left, and I got away, and then I ended up going back to him, and this is when we ended up having an apartment, and he was gone that day. And I remember my mom, she had come to the apartment, and that's when I finally said I was leaving him. I was done. And so while he was gone, I got all my stuff, and I left that place, and I never looked back. And man, and even to this day, like, I hear he's doing like really, 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 really bad. And I'm just so thankful to God, by the grace of God, that I was able to leave that relationship, because if I would have stayed in that relationship, yeah, my mom probably would have been visiting my gravesite. So, yeah, because he literally was trying to kill me. And not just kill me physically, he's the one who even introduced me to substances. Like, wanted me to use drugs and get high, like the hard drugs, like, you know, sniffing cocaine and things like that. Like, I didn't know nothing about nothing. Like, I literally was just a church girl. And so, yeah. But if I would have stayed with him, I would have died. I would have died and probably just been strung out, just toe up. Like, what is that movie, New Jack City, where Halle Berry and Samuel Jackson, they doing all that fighting out there. That, I'm telling you, that could have been me. And it feels good to be able to even just share my story and everything, because I feel strong, my eyes watered, but I can't cry like I used to, because I feel strong. Though I will never forget, but I'm at a space and place. It's just like, I'm here to help others. And though my story may not be as gruesome as other women or men or children who have been through domestic violence, I still won't minimize my story or anybody's story. The fact is that we allowed ourselves to be in a situation where we were abused, some where we had no control over because we were children, but things that happened as an adult that we did. But it's because, I can speak for myself, because I didn't value myself. I didn't love myself. I had low self-esteem. I didn't know who I was. But now that we know, when I say we, my mom and I, we know who we are as women, not just as women of God, but that we are priceless, that we are diamonds, that we are valuable. And it just feels so good today to say that, like, I can say I love me. I love myself.
Yeah.
And I will never allow myself to go through that situation again. Never, ever, ever. So.
And I want to add something that her grandmother ended up, basically raising her. We didn't have a good relationship. As she got a little older, it was always how I treated her. And it was almost like we couldn't get along. We couldn't get along at all. And it was times I called her. She wasn't dealing with it. Mom, until you get yourself together, I'm hanging up. And I don't even know the day that it happened, but we have such a beautiful, fun relationship now. We're so silly together. I love her so much. And all that she'd been through because of me, she forgave me. Isn't that beautiful? She didn't hold any of that against me. She forgave me. And it was so hard for me to forgive myself. Even after the years passed, I just couldn't forgive myself. And I remember a pastor told me, he said, the Holy Spirit told me to tell you, you beat up yourself more than the devil. And you know the devil beats us up. Forgive yourself. Let it go. He didn't even know what it was, but I guess the Holy Spirit spoke to him. And that was the hardest thing for me to do, is to forgive myself for the things that I done wrong. But as I said, I don't remember when it happened, but I am so glad that I have a relationship with the beautiful, talented Miracle.
Well,
we have a wonderful relationship and a fun one too.
Yeah, and I can say the same thing. I'm so grateful and thankful to God that I have a beautiful relationship with my mom. And of course, I forgive her because as I've gotten older, I hear her story. So it's a reason why my mom was the way that she was. But again, I didn't understand that as a child. So as I'm sitting here and sharing this with all of those that are watching and listening, that if you have a not so good relationship with your mom because of certain things that have happened or that are even going on right now, or because of the drugs and the abuse in the family, pray. I know it's not an overnight thing, but pray and ask God to show you how to forgive, because my mama's story is so for me horrific, and I'm just surprised and grateful that my mom is even in her right mind after hearing her story, the things that happened to her as a child, the way that my mom could even love the way she even could love, with the capacity of love that she did have, even though if it wasn't enough love, but she tried, and so I'm just so grateful and thankful for her. So I hope this has inspired others, whether it was with your father, your mother, to forgive, because some of you guys don't know all the stuff that your parents have been through. So, yeah.
Yes. Love you.
I love you too.
Isn't she beautiful?
And you beautiful. I get it from my mama.
Hello, God, it's me. I was wondering if we could talk, 'cause you know everything about life and destiny. You said call unto you and you show me great and mighty things. Well, hello, Father, I know you hear me. I've got dreams and ideas in my mind of how life should be. But oh, Father, I don't want to lean to my own understanding. I want to seek you in everything. Let my desires be what you want from me. Hello, God, I'm calling you. I won't move till I hear from you, 'cause you know what's best for my life. could ever imagine, could ever imagine, could ever imagine. Hello, God.
He kept telling me something's wrong. He started getting verbally abusive out of nowhere because he didn't used to do that. And I don't know if it was always something that was embedded in him, but it was more like a situation that, you know, like when somebody knows that they got you, it's like, okay, now I'm about to show my true colors. And that's what I think may have happened. So, and I've always been the type of person that I'm a free spirit. I don't like being smothered. I don't like smothering. I'm not clingy and all that other stuff. But he started getting controlling, and I don't like drama. So I was like, okay, I'll just chill out. You don't like me wearing tight clothes. Okay. You want me to wear my glasses? Because you think I'm prettier without my glasses. Okay, fine. I'm just going to the store. But fine. I'll put my glasses on. I just whatever he pretty much said do to keep the peace, I did. Because even though I was not physically attracted to him in any way, he was really the only one that seemed to be interested in me. So I just put up with it. And because of the type of mentality I have, whatever he said just went in one ear and out the other. Didn't really pay much attention. And I was like, okay, I'll just do this. You be cool? Okay. And it would even get so bad that his friends would be over. He would tell me to go in the room and don't come out. Because he didn't want his friends to see me. It started getting even worse. So he got even more verbally abusive, calling me stupid. Just things that the complete opposite of what I was told I was growing up. Everything he would tell me the opposite of. And just tell me like, you so stupid, you this, you're dumb, you're an effing idiot. You're, you know, just saying stuff that would just belittle me. And I'm not realizing that it's getting embedded into my subconscious. I started getting really bad anxiety. And I still to this day don't know fully why, but it started after I had my second child by him. But like I said, I was not really adhering to the stuff he was saying. And we would break up. I would break up with him and I would leave because I'm like, you know what? In my mind, I feel I deserve better. But nobody else seemed interested. So again, it went back to how I viewed myself. When it actually had nothing to do with him. It was totally like, oh, Shanae's talking with such and such. Oh my God, like you're so cool. You must be bad. All this other stuff because he only talks with certain girls. It was more that type thing because he was that guy. It had nothing to do with his physical appearance because I was not attracted to him. So I broke up with him. I had dropped out of college with my daughter. I dropped out. And my mom and my family like, you need to go back. And still to this day, I can only give grace to my mom because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have my master's right now. She made me go back. He cheated on me with a girl that he found at the gas station. And he knew how I felt about myself. And he says, I cheated on her because she has a body and you don't. And you decided you wanted to go back to school with your dumb ass. So I would have got what I wanted since you would have given it to me. But the thing that blew me, like if you're going to cheat, that's your body, that's you. But don't bring it home. And that was my issue. Like, okay, we young, you're going to do you. But all I'm asking, don't bring it home. So in my mind, all of these stories coming about kids getting touched inappropriately by people that their mothers just felt they had to be with. It was around that time. And in my mind, I'm like, if I can make it work with you, at least for my kids to grow up, I'd rather do that than to have to get to know a whole nother man to not only treat me right, but I have a daughter that looks just like me and I have a son. So so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to make it work because you are the father of these kids. And I told him, but if this doesn't work this time, I'm done. The second I moved into that apartment, immediately. I got my last thing out of the car. Box. Bam. In my face. I'd rather be by myself, and I really told him about himself, and he got mad, but it's okay. So, you know, I'm in a good place. My life's turned around. I don't have low self-esteem anymore. I have a lot of confidence about myself. I'm not cocky, but I'm confident. Big difference. You know, I'm working on really big things, and I don't have to sacrifice of myself. I can be myself, and I'm happy. And that's just, you know, everybody around me like, you are so happy now. Like, you was not like this like 3 years ago. So, this song that I'm getting ready to perform to is called Sorry by Tiana Taylor. And this song, I chose this song because it spoke to me right when I broke up with him. I left him. And in my mind, I said, one day, what she's saying in this song, I'ma feel. Because in the song, she's pretty much saying that I'm sorry, but she's really not sorry about how you treated me. And now I'm good. So that's how this song, it speaks to me. So I hope you enjoy it, and thank you.
He tells me I'm beautiful every day. The better part of him, hear him say. Now as you watch me fall away, all I can say, I'm so sorry. You had your cake and a gift that day, something that I love didn't create. Now as you watch me fall away, all I can say is, I'm so sorry. Just what it means to love and be loved. And now as you watch me fall away, all I can say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you didn't know how to love me. I'm sorry I wasn't beautiful to you. I'm sorry you just didn't understand how to be my man. I'm sorry you couldn't make me happy, and I'm so sorry you never learned how. I'm sorry I had to be this way, but my heart is so good now. Yeah. Now as you watch from far away, so baby, oh baby, yeah. What's all I can say? No, sorry, sorry you lost me.
was 23 when I met this guy. He was an older guy. He was 43 years old, and we started dating shortly after I met him. And we were dating for some time. About 3 months into that relationship, we decided we wanted to move together because I was living with my mom and he was living with his mom as well. So we started searching for apartments. We moved in. Everything was great. He was really good to me, as a man. He was showing me a lot of things that a lot of the guys that I used to date, really didn't show me. He was showing me love. He was telling me how beautiful I was every day. So I was kind of like really grateful for him, and going in the relationship, I was working this job as a manager at a restaurant. And so there I was, I was talking to a little bit of everybody, the customers, everybody was my friend, and my guy at the time, he was a little bit jealous of it. I started to notice him being jealous when I would come home talking about, oh, my coworker at work. He's like, all right, you're not at work. Let's stop talking about work, okay? So, I picked up on little things like that. My phone, it has, with iPhone, you have the recognition, your face recognition or your thumb. At that time, I had my thumb recognition, and when I went to sleep, I was in a deep sleep. The guy took my thumb and put it on my phone just to unlock my phone and go through my phone, everything, So nothing that I was too worried about, but it's still invading privacy, So he went in my phone about 2 o'clock in the morning. He woke me up mad, like angry. And as soon as I got up just to see what was going on, he punched me in my face really hard. And now I'm just scared, okay? Now I'm just like, what happened? What's going on? I'm standing up in the bed. My mouth is bleeding, and I'm like, what is going on? And he's like, you're talking to this coworker of yours. I told you not to talk to him. And I'm like, I'm sorry. At this point, I'm just pleading for him not to hit me anymore. So he reached out and punches me again. And as he punched me, I was looking dead in his face. And in his face, it looked like he was satisfied with what he was doing. And at that point, I didn't know what to do. My kids, I have 2 kids. At the time, they were 2 and 1, and they were asleep in the other room. So I'm just thinking about everything at this moment. Like, what am I going to do? So I tried to leave out of the room. He slammed the door, held his hands in front of the door, and was like, you're not going anywhere. You're going to die in here today. And I'm just like, I didn't know, I don't know. I only known this man for probably about 6 months at this point. And what I've known from him, he's been to jail. He has a gun in this house. So I don't know what he's capable of, I'm like, please don't do this. Please don't do this. I try to run to go out of the door. He steps in front of me. He got mad at this point. He's mad because I'm trying to get away, So at this point, he's like, if you don't lower your voice, if you scream so anybody can hear you, I'm going to kill you. I just became quiet, and then he took his arm and wrapped it around my neck and had me in a headlock, and he was squeezing me so tight. And I'm just like looking around the room for something that I can stab him with or something. And there's nothing, my mouth is bleeding. I don't know what to do. So I look out. There's one window in our bedroom, and I'm like thinking about jumping out of this window at this point. And then I'm like, my kids are in this house. I cannot jump out of this window. I don't know what to do. He was like, you think you're going to get out of here? You're not getting out of here. Not alive. And he just kept threatening me with this. So I'm just getting scared. So at this point, I don't know what to do. I'm in a headlock. I barely can breathe. And I'm just praying. I started praying. I just started praying like, God, please, I do not want to die in here. I started asking out for my granddad. My granddad recently passed away. I'm praying to him, Granddaddy, please, I do not want to die in here. My kids are here, So like moments later, he ended up letting me go. He let me go, and it was a lot of scrambling going on before then. Like, he took this lamp, he slammed it against my ankle, sliced my ankle with the lamp. So I'm limping. I really can't move, you know. And at this point, I'm sitting there and I'm like, he's not letting me go nowhere. He's like, you're going to quit your job. You're not working at the job anymore. And I'm just like, you cannot do that. And we're having this conversation back and forth, but I'm trying to stay calm, you know, probably 5 o'clock in the morning at this point, and he falls asleep, you know, and I'm just sitting there in the bed, like not moving and not realizing how much damage he has really done, you know. So by the time we got up, I noticed on my ankle that my ankle was split wide open, you know, and there was glass stuck in my ankle. Okay, so at this point, I'm like, okay, I need to go to the emergency room. I have to go to the hospital. And he's like, no, let me fix it. And I'm like, you can't fix it. I need to go to the hospital. So he's like, fine, you know, I'll go with you. And I was like, no, you need to go to work. I need to get my kids to school and I need to go to the hospital. So he allowed that to happen from the grace of God, you know. So I left. I went directly to my mom's house and I just broke down, and she took me straight to the hospital. I got to the hospital. I had 4 stitches in my lip and I had 7 stitches in my ankle, and they had to pull the glass out of my ankle. So it was terrible, you know. And I did not report him at that time, you know. At the hospital, the hospital I went to, there were no mandated reporters, so they weren't mandatory to report it, you know. So I told them I didn't want to file a police report because at that time he still had a hold on me, you know, and like he would call me, I'm apologizing over and over again for like almost 3 weeks straight. And I told him, you can't stay with me. We can be friends. I just tried to befriend him. I don't know why I felt like I could help him in some kind of way, you know. And eventually he started coming back over to our apartment and he started staying, and that's not what I wanted, but he was forcing it, you know. So he started staying over. Now we're back in the same situation. And if you say anything, if you scream so the neighbors can hear you, that's going to be the last scream you make in here. So at this point, I'm like, this is the same thing. I know at this point, if he opens my phone, I'm going to die. And if he doesn't open my phone, I'm going to die. I just knew it was no other way. So I'm trying to get the code in, Finally, I get the code in, and he just starts going through my phone. He just starts texting people on my phone, doing all of this stuff. And I don't know what came over me because I just knew that was the end of my life when he went through my phone. But I became really calm. I was just really calm. You know, I prayed and I was really calm. And when he was going through my phone, I was like, well, you know, I told you I did not want to be in this relationship anymore. And I just started to talk to him. And he was hearing me. I don't know what it was, but he was hearing me. And I was like, I have to go get my kids. My kids are at my mom's house, and she told me to pick them up at a certain time, and I need to get there. Finally, I was like, let's go get something to eat. Let's go get something to eat. Let's do something. And he was like, okay, all right. So we got our stuff together. I handed him his coat. I'm at the door, and he's like, okay, we're going to leave. Let's go get the kids and let's go get something to eat. So we get in the car. I drove straight to my mom's house. As soon as I got there, I ran in the house, took my keys out the car, ran in the house, and I told her what was going on, and I called the police. So he ran. He left. Like, he was gone. And since then, you know, he really have been making threats to me. You know, if I would say anything, you know, he would send me pictures of large guns, like he's watching me. He have people watching my Facebook page. I couldn't do nothing. You know, it just was a nightmare. And just with the whole process of being with the investigators and the police, it was really no help for me. You know, they were basically telling me, you either need to just move far away and just drop your life, and that's your option. Get this order protection, but it's just a piece of paper, so it doesn't really mean anything to a guy like this, you know. So it was no help, you know, it was really no help. And I'm just like, this is my life. I'm gonna have to live scared like this all the time, you know, and it just really didn't sit well with me, you know. And after that, you know, it just became something that I felt like was my purpose, you know, to tell people about this and to, you know, to help people through it, you know, because I couldn't, you know, I wouldn't have been here today if, I didn't pray and I just became calm. Like, I still can't believe it.
If I ever leave you, you can say I told you so. And if I ever hurt you, you know I hurt myself as well. Is that any way for a man to carry on? Do you think I want my loved one gone? I love you more than you'll ever know. When I wasn't making much money, you know where my paycheck went. I brought it home to you, baby. I never spent a red cent. No. Is that any way for a man to carry on? Do you think I want my loved one gone? I love more than you'll ever know. Now listen to this. I'm not trying to be just any old kind of a man. No, I ain't. I'm just trying to be somebody you can love just and understand. Yes, I am. I know I can be your a part of me, a part of you that will never leave. Yeah, I just want to hear you say, I need to hear you say that it's all right. I'm only flesh and blood. I can be anything you demand. I can be king of everything. I can be smaller than a grain of sand. Hey, yeah, yeah. Is that any way for a man to carry on? Do you think I want
was everything from physical, verbal, a lot of mind games. He was older than me, a few years older than me. He was 3 years older, actually. And, you get flattered by an older guy wanting to, pursue you and things of that sort. And, of course, you're coming into womanhood, so you're not really thinking about the seriousness of anything coming about it. He punched me in my eye socket, actually, and that I never felt pain like that ever before in my life. But there was like a soul scream that came out, and I will never forget that. I was interrogated that night, threatening to burn my hands on the stove, tied up with my own curling iron, cutting. I mean, he did so much stuff to me that night, to just only for me to like have. I still couldn't say anything. There was nothing to tell. But he kept me locked in his house for 3.5 weeks, which was at the time we were taking finals at high school. And the week that he let me out, which was actually 4 weeks later, they told me that I had missed the mark of being able to get my last grades in, so I was not able to graduate with my class. That devastated me very badly because my father thought I was going to be able to graduate at that time. I understood it. I don't know if I can even do that. So when it comes to any forms of abuse, I've been through the full cycle, which is economical, verbal, physical, mental, sexual. Every form of abuse that they document that you can be manipulated through, I've been through it. A lot of these relationships did stem from a lot of mental disturbances that never were diagnosed from everything I've been with. Dealing with these individuals, but his was kind of interesting because we're in a third world country, and he started to narcissistic. That's where I understood what narcissistic personality disorders came in, and I had to find out how that works and what it is, because I started feeling like the projections and the gaslighting and you remember you did that, and I'm sitting there like, no, that didn't really happen. Or the things that he would do to my children when it came to them, thinking that he was trying to discipline, but he didn't really have it as an innate ability to do so. It was more so what he would mimic off of what he saw others do. And he still didn't have a real ground on how to do it. So that was emotionally damaging my children. And so now here it is that years have passed. Now my firstborn child is 11 years old, 12 years old, and he's starting to grasp the idea of, hey, Mom, when are you going to get it that these men are not good for you or us, type of thing. And the wisdoms that they were trying to pour into me and they were being my therapists, they were being my counselors and all these different things. And I'm like, okay, Mommy's going to get us out of this. So moving right along, I meet this very charismatic gentleman, which was the most invert narcissist out of them all. Even though he blindsided me with his story, he was not an advocate for a person that came out of that life. He actually became the predator. Came this close with my children, almost getting molested. Dealt with everything from him dealing with prostitution. He had a fetish about some things where I can fulfill them. And I was kind of adamant about those things because I am a survivor of molestation myself. Since this last ordeal with this whole relationship, and off and on, for 6 years, well, from 2012 all the way till our friendship began in 2012, but from 2013 all the way to 2017, it's taken a toll on my health. I was diagnosed with lupus earlier this year from too much trauma, from years and years of a lot of traumatizing things throughout these relationships. So I have to manage how and what I'm going to deal with when it comes to these areas that are still not resolved.
This one right here is the one that was like the straw that broke the camel's back, because I grieved as if a mother grieving for a child that's deceased. And I truly understand what I have read in past times about people who died of a broken heart type of thing. And dealing with lupus now is one of those things where it came at a moment's notice. Like it didn't just, like give me any, it just was like boom, and I've been a very healthy person, very, strive for just the zest of life, and I still feel that way. I still feel I have a lot in me to still offer, not only to my children, but to my purpose in life. And this may be one of them, just to give a little bit of insight of what women go through. It doesn't matter. I can't judge anybody, and I wish people that have not had these type of experience could have that same mind to know that it could be you at any moment. I don't care. I've had friends that were married to doctors, women that were lawyers, in the professional leagues, and they never thought it would happen to them, and even losing some of my friends. I've lost friends behind these things. And I don't want that to be my story. And I can't allow that to be my story. And the potential risk of it happening, I have to be sure to know how to get out of these things for sure, for good, because there's children involved. Now, I can understand if it was one thing where it was just me and an individual, but there are other lives that have been affected by this. So if anybody knows, like, when it comes to dealing with domestic violence on this level, or different, the different ins and outs about it, the support network is greatly needed. Never be biased, or never just put a person to make them feel any worse than what they're already in, because it doesn't feel good to be in these situations. And you would not even want, it's not something that you just wake up and just say, I would love to have someone treat me this way. It's not, and just get educated as much as you can to know the signs of dealing with it, because a lot of it stems from people who have mental disturbances that are undiagnosed, and they fly under the radar. And just know it's not your fault. It really isn't. You're just looking to be loved and to give love and to be received wholeheartedly and not taken advantage of. And so I understand my story. I understand how I got there. I understand why I was not able to see these things, because I was totally raised not to. I was raised in a structure where basically you were to love and trust. I've been open. I've always been open, not to guard myself, but these situations have taught me how to stay open, but not to be anybody's fool. I don't know how the resilience has been in me to be able to come back and be like, some women get so broken when they go through these things to where it's like they're afraid to love again, or they're afraid to someone to love them, so it can get there, and try to take me there, but I can. It's just not me, I'm continuing to love. I'm continuing to, I still got, like I said, I still got so much to live for, That's it.